Hey everyone, how's it going? It is 1 p.m. on Friday, December 22nd. It's just a couple days before Christmas. And, we had a pretty quiet session today. So let's take a look how all of that shook out. When we look at our intraday chart, we can see that we did continue that upward bias that we saw in the morning, but then we pulled back to the previous high. We never quite hit the high from 2 days ago, and we didn't approach the all-time highs. So we really just stayed in this region before kind of breaking down midday and then recovering and just going flat into the end. So we just had this tiny bear trap in the middle of the day. And then at the end, we got this volume spike going up just into the VWAP. So really, it's just a choppy sideways day and nothing too exciting. When we look at on a daily basis, what we see now is that we got this doji candle, but really we just chopped sideways. The high is lower than 2 days ago, and the low is definitely higher than even yesterday. The only kind of interesting thing about today's bar is that this low is above the EMA 8. We didn't come back and touch the EMA 8 again. In fact, we stopped just shy of this purple line that we drew over here. That was, let's see, that was this support level or resistance level, depending on which direction, if we're above or below it. Right now it's support. This level that we drew over here from these two peaks or three peaks right here, which also happens to be the middle of our consolidation region. So there is a slight upward bias still, even though we're chopping sideways, and we're going to just see whether or not we violate that. Next week is a short week. Most people will be on holidays. There's not going to be a lot of trading. So we really shouldn't see too much action. We really should just chop sideways. It might be gappy. We might, gap up, gap down, but mostly stay within this range. If we do run and it runs on thin volume, we're not going to get too excited about that. But if it runs and then we start seeing volume pick back up into the market, then that is going to be very significant. I'm not really anticipating that though. We're really just looking to see this chop sideways. And so, of course, in your portfolios, you're going to see your portfolio just chop sideways, a little bit up, a little bit down, random up, random down, maybe slightly more than random and slightly or slightly more than random to either way, up or down, but we're just not really going to see a lot of directional movement. So again, I've been saying it pretty much all week, but for sure next week, it might just be a market to just sit and watch, or not even watch, just go and enjoy yourself, enjoy your families, enjoy your holidays, enjoy your time for yourself to kind of reset and start anticipating the next year. That's certainly what a lot of portfolio managers are going to do. Like I said earlier, if they're happy with their performance this year, they're just going to sit on their hands and not do anything. They don't have to do anything. Their bonuses are secure. If they are severely underperforming, you might see these big swinging bets. That might be the gapping up, then gapping down, and on this thin volume, really, it's going to be difficult for them to make money either. Even so, if they do that. So unless there's big major news that comes out, but really in this last week of the year, no major news really comes out. So we're just really anticipating very, very quiet going into next week. Let's take a quick look at our bonds, see if our bonds did anything. No, really just all it did is trade back down to its EMA 8. So we went parabolic here and then chopped sideways, now chopping sideways into our EMA 8. Really, everyone's just pausing. Everyone's just waiting for the new year to really get things started. New year is when we get a new track record. All hedge funds start at the same point, which is zero performance. Everything resets, and that is a new chance for everyone to really start allocating their money where they think things are going to be most lucrative. And right now, with this positive slope in the, oops, this is the wrong, wrong asset. With this positive slope in the markets, then we are really going to be looking to put money to work to the bull side, to the long side. And our best opportunity right now, I showed this to you guys before, but we're only a couple of percentage points away from the all-time high, maybe less than 2% at this point. So yeah, 1.7-ish percent from the all-time high in the S&P 500. The Dow Jones was above it, or we're at the all-time highs right now. And the QQQ, we're pretty much at the all-time highs as well. So these are not great places. Could they go higher? Absolutely. We'll make new highs, kind of like we are in the Dow Jones and possibly the QQQ. But that's not an area for rapid growth. If we are going to go into a real bull market, our chance for rapid growth is in the IWM, is in these small cap stocks. Small cap stocks have to lead on the way up for a real bullish market to start to happen. So we're going to be looking at IWM. We've broken out from this level. We've kind of consolidated back and forth from it all week. But today we definitively broke above it. That low is above that line completely. And if we get any sort of choppy movement or direction into the next week and we stay above these lines, we don't fall back down, that is going to be a big signal for a lot of portfolio managers, a lot of institutional money to really go into these small cap stocks. So we're going to be really, really, really interested in small cap stocks. Those can be hard to invest in individually because they don't have a lot of options contracts, or they don't have a lot of volume in their options contracts, or their spreads, bid-ask spreads might be really wide. So if we are going to put our attention on small cap stocks, if we can, we will do it on an individual level. But sometimes we just have to resort to indices like, not indices, but ETFs like the IWM. We could do options on the index as well. That would be a little bit more pricey, but we don't get any real volume data when we look at indices. So it's often helpful to just go to an ETF. We could just do small cap ETF. We could go into a TNA or triple ETF, anything associated with small caps. We can even look at sector specific small cap ETFs. And that diversifies your risk a little bit as well. You may not get the booming growth. Some individual small cap stocks will grow hundreds of % in a single year, unlike something that you might see in the the S&P 500. So if I go over here and I look at my relative strength scan, and rather than applying it to my sectors, let me apply it to my individual stocks. So let's say I want to do it on the S&P 500. So I'm not going to do this one. We'll do my SPY is greater than 0. So if we do this, I get the stocks in the S&P 500, and I look at this table. I want to see their performance over the last year. I don't have the last year. I only have the last 6 months. So let's just look at their over the last 6 months. The best performing one, oops. All right, this one performed at 4,000%. That's a little crazy. I don't know if this is true. Well, let's take a look at their chart. Okay, so maybe, I don't think so. So there's something wrong with that data right here, because we started out at, what is this? We started out at 330 and we're currently at 411. So it did grow like 30 something %, not at several thousand %. So we have some data issues right here, but you can see, okay, so let's ignore those top two. We have better data right here, 30 something %, 20 something %. That is a lot, because the S&P 500 was up 23, 24% this year. So these are the leaders in the S&P 500. They're up 30, 35%. But if I take a look at my IWM, my small caps, let's see, even on a year where the small caps have been severely underperforming the large cap stocks, let's look at these percentage right here. Okay, we have 106 that. We have 179%, 600%, 700%. So if we go into a bull market that is a strong bull market where small cap stocks are leading the way, then you're going to get way, 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 way more percentage gains in individual small cap stocks. But like I said, sometimes these are uninvestable. They're just too small. They can't handle our capital. They don't have contracts. They have very thin contracts. They don't have the bid-ask spread. They don't have the volume. And so if we can combine all of these together and average their performance in something like a ETF, that performance could still be 100%, 200%. So this will be an area that we're going to be watching very, very closely for 2024. So I guess, some people do end of year predictions. That might be one of my end of year predictions, is that we go into a bull market, but the fear of a recession is pushed a little bit further down. We do have a pullback, but that pullback does not mean it turn into a bear market. And then when we bounce back, the small cap stocks lead, and then we get an amazing performance out of the small cap stocks. So I'm definitely going to start focusing my attention on small cap stocks and going into 2024. But for next week, we're just going to assume it's going to be very, very quiet. It's going to chop sideways for the most part. There could be some surprises, but really there's no news coming out. Everyone knows that it's a thinly traded market, so there's no reason for companies to have announcements or anything like that. So we really just be worldwide geopolitical news that might affect the markets. And other than that, yeah, everyone's going to be home, taking vacation, taking a break, reflecting on the year, and preparing for the next year. And we should probably do the same. So as long as it looks like that's what we're going to have, we aren't going to have the pre or post market analyses next week. I'll only show up if there's something really wild happening in the markets, and then I'll let you guys know ahead of time. So enjoy your vacations, enjoy your breaks, enjoy your holidays, enjoy your time with your families. Have a wonderful rest of your year, and we'll start the new year with a bang. All right. Have a wonderful break, and I will see you. I'll let you know if I'll be on next week, but otherwise, I'll see you in the new year.